Well everyone, I have not been this excited for a package in a long time, but here we have it. Our final tag submission is here about a month and a half later, and I'm excited to dive into it. So welcome to the finale, or part 3 of grading with tag. We're going to go through the entire process of what it was like after submission and while we patiently waited for these cards to get back. Let's get into it. So now, before we do open this up live, I do want to talk about my experience overall with them and what you should expect with tag. Now, I've personally never ever graded anything with any company whatsoever, so no tag, no PSA, CGC, or Beckett. I've never done that before. I'm kind of new to the whole grading hobby and things like that, but I saw some tag slabs on the internet, so in order to actually see if I wanted to do this and put my cards in it, I did buy one right here, this Dark Gyarados off of eBay, just to kind of see the quality of it and things like that. And yes, I've heard that people have been cracking these relatively easily compared to PSA, but to me, I didn't really care. They're protective enough after I played with it. I'm not sitting here trying to bend this as hard as I can in order to open this up. So I know that in the future, if I hold onto these cards in this slab, I know that 10 years down the road, they're still going to be in good condition in here. I don't have to worry about it too much. And I just liked how it looked. I like how they were translucent. I like their grading system, how they use AI to actually grade everything and get that done. They rely way less on humans, so there's way less human error and things like that. So I'm a big first adopter. I like adopting things early on to see if they are worth it or not at the end of the day. This wasn't really a value play. I did send in some cards that were pretty expensive in terms of some modern cards and things like that, but I didn't really care at the end of the day if I got a PSA 10 versus a tag 10. The PSA 10 is probably going to be more valuable to more people, but for me, I didn't really care that much. Maybe I'll resell them, but for the most part, I'm going to keep them in my personal collection. And now, in terms of pricing and how long it took for everything, so I sent in 20 cards and I went with their cheapest service, their bulk order service, which ended up being about $319 just for the cards themselves. I believe it was $16.99 for the cards, and then I added 99 cents per card for their care service. And then I also purchased their submission kit. Their submission kit was $49.95, so the grand total was $389 for me to send in 20 cards to get graded. And then in terms of how long it took, again, it said about 45 to 60 business days in the option that I chose, which again was the cheapest option. There's way more expensive ones to get it way faster, but I ended up purchasing it on April 30th of 2025, and then I ended up shipping it out to them about 2 weeks later because I was still waiting on a couple of other cards to show up before I submitted them, and they received it on May 14th of 2025. And then it stayed in that kind of received state because you can go into the portal and check on the timeline to see what checkpoints and milestones it's hit. But then by June 17th, it went from received, and then it started going through the process of, checking for quality assurance, making sure that everything was there, then actually grading them, then slabbing them up, then taking pictures of them, then putting the report out on the portal itself. And then from 6/17, so June 17th to June 30th, they completed the entire process and they shipped it out on June 30th. Today's July 2nd, and I just received the package right here. So it took about a month and a half from the day that they received it to when I got it. From what I've heard, comparison-wise, compared to other products and other services, that is way shorter than the timeline that like something PSA, CGC, or Beckett would do. But again, I am in the Discord, and your mileage may vary on how long it will take. Some people have submitted things before me, and they're still stuck on the receipt stage. Some people have submitted things after me, and they've already got it. So it really just depends on, what ends up happening. And I did notice that most people that ended up taking longer didn't go with their submission kit. So I got the submission kit because I was very new to the grading service and I didn't have those penny sleeves with the pull tabs. I didn't have the right top loaders. I wanted to make sure it was secure. It also brought, I think, $1,000 of insurance with the submission kit. So those are all things that I was willing to pay $50 for. And again, I'm not going to say that you need to get the submission kit to maybe get expedited, but the common thread was that most people that are taking a long time didn't get the submission kit. I did get it, and I ended up getting everything, even from the date of purchase, in about 2 months. And the last thing I will mention is that they did finish up everything on June 30th. So technically I could go into the portal and they already have the grades and the dig report and everything you need to know in order to get that done, in order to see exactly what grades you got. But I decided to hold off, be patient, just wait a couple more days, open these live and understand what exactly we got in real time with you guys. So I don't know what grades we got on these 20 cards. But now, enough talking, let's jump right into this and see exactly what we got. So this is what it arrives in. Let's see exactly what we're dealing with. Again, I got 20 cards, so we're going to slice this open. And I will have kind of like a counter on the screen to show you guys how much I spent and whether or not we got our value back. That doesn't take into consideration how I got the cards and if I paid for the cards separately, if I pulled them or anything like that, but just to see if we got our money's worth. And again, tag slabs, the market on tag slabs is a little iffy depending on who you talk to and whether or not they're worth the same price as PSA slabs and things like that. Some people say yes, some people say no, some people will charge 90% of a PSA 10 to a tag 10, but here we are, everybody. This thing is pretty heavy, I'm not gonna lie. You got a little dent here, but comes in tag, that's embossed in there, it's got a tag sticker, but pretty nondescript black box. Let's crack this open. And one of the cool things that I really liked about tag and why I gravitated towards it is because of this. They are individually wrapped like they are Pokemon packs, and that to me was one of the biggest draws of going with tag. So this is what you get them in. You can decide not to do this, it doesn't cost any extra to get them wrapped like this, but I think it adds a little bit more kind of like it just makes it feel cooler overall. So this is what it looks like in here, and we're gonna open up all 20 of these and see if they are gonna be worth it at the end of the day, and see exactly if tag is something that you would want to get into. All right, so let's crack into this and see exactly what grades we got. Like I said, I don't know anything, but I could have checked on the portal, so I was patient. We're gonna randomly check in here. Like I said, I sent 20 cards in, and since they are transparent, I have noticed that there's a trick. So you want to kind of cut at the bottom. So the reason you want to go from the bottom is because they are transparent, so you can technically see the grade if you just look or hold it backwards. So this one, ooh, okay, so here we have, let me see if I can do this correctly. This is our SIR Venusaur from 151. This is so cool how it's in here. So let's crack this open, and we got an 8. Interesting. So again, here we got an 8, which is interesting because I thought this Venusaur was gonna do maybe a lot better, but overall, I mean, I think it just looks awesome in this slab. So at the end of the day, it does look really cool. I'm still happy with it. Tag 8, and again, if you guys want to check it out, all you have to do is scan that QR code and it sends you to the dig report, and you're able to see why this also got an 8. But all right, let's just start going through these. Again, we have a mix of mostly 151 in here, but then we also have some celebrations. All the 151s I actually pulled ourselves, or we pulled ourselves. These other ones, the ones that are like the celebration ones, we did buy on eBay. But this one, what do we have here? So, ooh, okay, so we have the Charizard, the Sleeping Charizard. This one I actually purchased on eBay, like I said. And, I mean, it looks good. Again, in the slab, they all just look so good. We got a tag, keep wanting to say PSA, but we got a tag 9. That's really, really cool. So again, you guys can scan that QR code yourself to find out exactly why we got this 9 or not a 10. But, I mean, it looks fantastic in this thing. Woo! So this is going to be the Charizard V, the Sleepy Charizard. We got it in a 9. Next up, we got to start going quickly because, like I said, we have 20 of these. And again, one of the coolest parts about tag is just the fact that they do this. PSA just kind of send it to you. They all just send it to you randomly, but here we go. Ooh, we got the illustration rare Houndour. Probably one of my favorite cards. So again, this is one that we purchased, I believe, on eBay. Ooh, and another 9. Nice. Okay. I mean, again, I really want 10s. We'll see if we're able to get a 10 at some point, but this is what the back of it looks like. Very clean. But again, I'm curious why this Venusaur got an 8. We gotta really look up why I got an 8. I'm looking at the back of it. Maybe it's a little off center, or maybe, oh, we got some whitening on the back. But yeah, Venusaur got an 8. And we do have an SIR Charizard, which we're definitely gonna look at. Grabbing from the middle here. Now we're getting into a groove of how to actually open these. So what do we have in here? Ooh, okay, so this one is the 151 Squirtle. I know a lot of people like this one. Again, it looks super even around. Looks nice and curvy on... Oh. And then, another 9. Okay. So, that is going to be the Squirtle. So I wonder what they're looking for when it comes to a 10. Again, I'm going to analyze the dig reports a little bit, and then we'll maybe talk about it at the end, but nonetheless... it looks sick in this slab. And again, they're not weak slabs. Like, people are so worried that these are going to bend and break. Okay, let's keep on going. There's so many of these. And again, we should have a counter on the screen to let you know like what kind of value we have so far with all the cards compared to how much we spent. Rule of thumb is when it comes to modern cards, if you do get a 9, even if it is tag or PSA, that you probably want to value it at the raw price point that it is, and if you get a 10, then of course that's when you get the higher value. But here we go, Celebrations, Blastoise. Again, this one I knew once I got it in that it was a little off center, so you know I can see this getting maybe a 7, but in terms of everything else, it looks clean. The back looks clean. It's just a tiny bit off center, so we have another 9. That's actually pretty good. I mean, for an older card, for a card that we got off of eBay, a tag 9 for one of the coolest cards that Pokemon has to offer. Love to see it. We're still looking for our first 10 though. All right, let's keep going. Let's see if we get some more luck on this next 5 that we get here. Open this up. Ooh, could this? I think this is the Celebrations Charizard. Let's see what we get here. Ooh, okay, so. I mean, it looks, to me, it looks better than the Blastoise. Maybe a little bit off center here. Ooh, this got a 7. Whoa-oh. Why did you get a 7? So kind of show you guys what I mean about the dig report and how it's all really transparent. If you grab a phone and scan this QR code, which hopefully does show up, there it is. It should pull up the actual report. So it says, it gives you the population. So I got 4 near mint graded, ranked number 1, highest near mint. Okay, I'd like to see that. And then it shows you exactly what's going on here. So you have your certification number. Anybody can look this up, so it doesn't just have to be under my account. And then you're able to see some of the things that were off, right? So centering, it was pretty good on the centering. On the bottom, a little bit less so good, but then we have 2 dings on the corners, 1 ding. We also have the dimensions, the surface dings, and then they even give you a breakdown, like look how close they get on these corners. So you can see that the back top left had some corner wear. So if we go back, the top left, you can see that it is there. Definitely there, so maybe that's why I got that 7 mark. So it's good to know that they're explaining why you're getting a 7 and why, you know, why you wouldn't get a 10 and things like that. And it has to do with, of course, the corners weren't great, but then you also get an out of 1,000 score in terms of each category. So they really go in depth here. So this right here, so of course from the corners themselves, they are rounded correctly, but you see that ding right there. Again, still searching for that 10. My hope is that our SIR Charizard from 151 ends up being that magical 10 that we're looking for. So here, let's see what we got here. Oh, okay, this is a 151 Full Art Venusaur and 8.5. So they do half grading as well. So we got an 8.5 on this one, which is a near mint plus. So our 2 Venusaurs are in 8s, and we'll look at the reports also to see what this looks like. But I'm curious to know like what the values of these cards are. But again, these are mostly, if not all, for my personal collection. All right, let's keep rolling with it. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what this one is. There were also a couple of cards that, now thinking about it, I probably wouldn't have sent in. Like I sent in, I think, like a Lycanroc, which is like a $2 card or something like that. But again, live and learn. Ooh, okay, here it is. This is the Charizard. This is the 151 Charizard. This thing looked pristine when I sent it in. So, okay. What? How did it get an 8? That's crazy. Okay, ranked 3rd highest near mint. Okay, okay. But what do we have here? Surface, detect, transparency. So 3 back dings. Interesting. Let's see. Back top right, back bottom right. I guess there's like a little bit of fray there, I guess. But some of the other cards seemed way better than this. Or some of the other cards, I mean, or this one seemed way better than the other cards. But hey, live and learn. So the 2 big boys, which was the Venusaur and the Charizard, we got 8s on. Very interesting. But we'll keep going. Let's see if we do end up getting a 10 somewhere. Oh, opened this one the wrong way. But let's see what card this is. Ivysaur. I knew this one wasn't going to get a good one just when I sent it in. But it's just because it's so off-center. But hey. Ivysaur, we got a 7. Still looks sick in these, so like I'm not disappointed in it, and I do wonder what PSA would give it. But this one does look like it's shifted back left. Can we get one? We're starting to run out of time here, or run out of the amounts in terms of getting a 10. Because all the 151s were ones that we pulled ourselves, so I really thought those were gonna get decent grades. What do we got here? Ooh, okay, we got the gold Mew, also from 151 that we pulled ourselves. The gold cards are harder to grade from what I hear, just because there's a lot more variability in there, but we got a 9. Okay, I'll take a 9 on this one. I mean, we got a bunch of 9s already, so I think we got a little ding up there on the top right of the back. Otherwise, this looks sick. The gold with the translucent design, big fan. So we're about halfway through. We have 5 9s, we have 3 8s, one of them being an 8.5, and then we have 2 7s. And of course, that Celebrations Charizard, I really wish that was more than a 7, but let's keep going. Maybe the back half has some good luck for us. Let's see which one this is. So this is, ooh, this is the promo Mewtwo from the UPC. Again, I remember a time when that UPC was $90. Should have bought more of them when they came out. But this one, 8.5 on the Mewtwo. Okay. Again, I can already see it. When I first submitted these, I wasn't like super keen on what to look for. But again, this one is definitely off center, but the reason I got an 8.5 is probably because the rest of it was relatively good. So that's the Mewtwo promo, and we also have the Mew promo in here somewhere. Oh, perfect timing. So this is going to be the Mew promo, and this one was one of the coolest ones just because there's so much texture on this card. I think that's so cool. Can we get our first? Oh, we're getting so close. Here we go with another mint 9. I mean, this card on its own is sick. So again, it just looks great in here. So that's going to be the Mew EX, the promo. So we got an 8.5 and a 9 on the 2 promos from the 151 UPC. So now let's keep going. Again, fingers crossed in the comments. Please send me some love in terms of being able to get a 10 somewhere. What do we got here? Oh, this is the Dragonair from 151. This one I think was one of the first full arts or whatever these are called, the gold stars that we got. And we got an 8 on this one. Interesting. Okay. But we're living and we're learning. And I know that there's one in here. I think it was like an Alakazam that we sent in that was crazy off center. But again, one day we'll get to the 10. And like I said, now I know what to look for a little bit more closely when we do submit these. And this won't be my last submission, because now if we don't get a 10 here, which I don't know if we're going to get one, my goal is to get a 10 from Tag. Which one's this one? Okay, so this one is one that we bought, I believe, at a shop. This one is from Obsidian Flames at 215. We got another Charizard, and we got a 9. Okay, back is a tiny bit off center. Maybe that's why I didn't get a 10. But we'll take that. I'll take a 9 all day. Now that I'm learning that it's a little bit harder than I thought to get a 10. The Pikachu, yep. This is a Celebrations Pikachu, and again, this one is super off center. This is one that I got off of eBay, and we got a 7.5 on this one. This one is one that, looking back at it now, I definitely would not have submitted because I noticed how off center it was. And it did have a couple dings on the back, but still one of the coolest cards that I had, so I'm glad that it's now protected in this really cool case. Let's see what this one is. Ooh, okay. Celebrations Venusaur. Can we make up for the 7 that we got on the Charizard? And we got a 9. 9 on it. I mean, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Again, this is something that you guys see happening with Tag or PSA or any of the other ones, or what kind of experience you have in terms of grading overall. Again, we'll get better at it. And we're counting down here. Ooh, okay, here we go. We got another Charizard, the gold Charizard. Could this be the one? I mean, centering looks good. I don't see any dings. And here we go. 1, 2, 3. Another 9. Why can't we get a 10? Again, maybe one day we'll get there. I see a little ding on the top right, but hey. So again, I would probably value a 9, maybe a little bit over what you get from raw pricing. And then a 10, of course, that's to each their own in terms of what they're valued at. So I am curious to know if we are at, you know, high or low value compared to what we paid for. But now we're down to the last 3, and I think these are kind of lower level cards that I just thought looked cool that I wanted to grade. So we have this Absol EX, 8.5 on the Absol. Absol is definitely one of my favorite Pokemon, that's why I kind of threw this one in here. And one of them is still this Lycanroc, which is kind of upsetting, but hey. 8.5 on the Absol. So, to break this all down, this was pretty much everything that we got. So, of course, unfortunately, we didn't get any 10s. So, we're going to have to try this again and see if we can get some 10s another way. But we got 2 7s, which was the Ivysaur, and then the Celebrations Charizard, which, again, a little upsetting, but I get it. You know, the Celebrations Charizard is one that I purchased on eBay. A 7.5 with the Pikachu. We got 3 8s. So, we had the Charizard EX, the Venusaur EX, and then the Dragonair, which, again, I really thought this Charizard would get at least a 9, maybe a 10. Then we have 4 8.5s, which is going to be the near mint, mint plus. So we have the Mewtwo Promo, we have Alakazam, which this thing was insanely off-center, like insanely off-centered. And then the Absol EX. And then lastly, if we do the math correctly, I think we got 10 9s. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. So unfortunately, like I said, no 10s, but we got 10 9s, 4 8.5s, 3 8s, 1 7.5, and 2 7s. So it could have been worse, could have been better. Let's tally up the totals and see exactly what these are all worth. So everyone, I did a quick little price out, and it looks like we did come out on top overall. Again, this is not taking into consideration the price of the actual cards themselves. And some of these don't even have a comp because A, the population is so low on some of these cards. Like for instance, there is no other 7.5 tag graded Pikachu Celebrations card. There isn't another tag 7 graded Ivysaur from 151. So again, there's a lot of things that go into play, but we're looking at about $502 in terms of what this is worth. And again, that price doesn't even include the price of these cards raw for the ones that don't have an available price. So I think the overall value is a little bit higher than that. But like I said, we spent $389. The current comp is around $500-ish, with the most expensive card still being the Tag 8 Charizard from 151. So overall, I really like the experience. It was relatively quick compared to the competition. The slabs to me are the coolest slabs on the market, with Ace being kind of second there. PSA just looks old. It looks kind of like they've been stuck in the 1980s. I'm just not a big fan of it, I'll be honest. And the fact that they charge you more after you've already been graded a 10, I get it. Because the fact that they gave you a 10, they are now making it more valuable for you, and technically you do come out on top. I think that is I think that's like the worst move ever, to be able to charge somebody more just because the card ended up being in great condition. That's not your fault that the card's in great condition. So I think that's a little weird, and that doesn't jive with me the right way. So again, I do recommend Tag if you guys want to get into it. I will be a little bit more diligent on the cards that I send next time, because we will do this again and we will be getting a 10 hopefully. But that'll do it, everybody. Leave a comment down below what you think. Would you grade with Tag? Have you graded before? Let me know all your thoughts on this entire process. Overall, if you guys want to see how this all started, I'll recommend watching these other 2 videos so you guys are aware of how this series went. But thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Fernando. Peace.